Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and welcome back to Sentinel Reviews. Today, it's the beginning of the end. I'm really late on this, and for that I apologize, but better late than never. We are beginning our look at the beginning of the end of the Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker era of Doctor Who. And this playlist is going to be called The Specials. I haven't decided between the Jodie Whittaker specials or the 2022 specials. We'll see what happens and what I ultimately decide on. I'm kind of leaning towards 2022 specials. None of that is important. Anyway, so we are first looking at the New Year's Day special, Eve of the Daleks, written by Chris Chibnall. As always, I will be discussing spoilers, so this is your only warning if you have not seen Eve of the Daleks yet. I'm sorry. And as you might notice right now, things look a little different at the moment, too. For one thing, I am having furniture delivered, so I had to put away the table and everything I normally use for filming, so temporary setup. For another thing, my sister got me a ring light for Christmas. Thank you, I love it. So I can film at night now, if need be. And my next few videos, not that they're all going to be filmed at night, but they're going to look kind of different as I figure out this ring light. I can't do it live in the middle of my reviews because the remote it came with is kind of crap. So anyway, wow, that was a bit of a tangent. Eve of the Daleks, Chris Chibnall's third Dalek story. And wow, is it simply spectacular. I think the Chris Chibnall is at his strongest with his era of Doctor Who when, one, he is focusing on historical stories like The Witchfinders, Rosa, Demons of the Punjab, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, or when he's focusing on classic monsters, Spyfall with the Master, Resolution, Revolution of the Daleks, and now Eve with the Daleks, The Haunting of Villa Diodati, and Ascension of the Cybermen with the Cybermen, and War of the Sontarans with the Sontarans. And that makes me really hyped because next up after this, the Easter specials, the Sea Devils are finally coming back. You have no idea how excited I am. And once again, this episode is spectacular. Actually, no contest. Of the three, this is easily the best Dalek story Chris Chibnall has done. I have very few nitpicks as we go through, so with this story. So the first thing I like is that this story is very self-contained. After Flux, which was just a big universal space opera epic, Eve of the Daleks is very self-contained. The Doctor is trying to, get rid of the rest of the Flux energy in the TARDIS, so she puts it in reboot, and while the TARDIS resets, the Doctor and company find themselves in a storage facility, a place that rents storage lockers, where one of the employees and her customer are also caught up in a machination by the Daleks. And the problem is that for some unknown reason, which gets revealed as the episode progresses, everyone is caught in a time loop, which means, and well, no, not which means, let me go on. When the characters die, the time loop resets. So, and people have been kind of joking about this since the initial trailer. This is Doctor Who does Groundhog Day. Once again, and I'm going to try and go through, and I'll try to save stuff, so if you haven't seen Eve of the Daleks, you can try to go in with some surprises. But once again, so I'll just go right to the performances. Jodie Whittaker is simply fantastic here. She plays off the Daleks really well. I know, really, with every episode, I've said Jodie Whittaker is amazing, but that's because she is. Like I said, she started off really strong back in Series 11, and then after Rosa, actually I even think during Rosa, she stagnated a little bit. And, she got really stagnant, and there was a word I was thinking of, and I just lost it. Oh, God. But no, she was really kind of stagnant up until the Witchfinders, where she started picking up momentum again. And after she picked up that momentum, she hasn't lost it since. She has just been spectacular. The only real slip-ups are the rare moments where the writing didn't work. Like, really the only instance I can think of that was kind of a slip-up was Revolution of the Daleks, you know? In The Timeless Children, we had this revelation that about what the Doctor was, but then, you know, she came to the realization that it didn't matter who she was in her past. All that mattered is her future and her present. And then in Eve of the Daleks, despite coming to the revelation that that she didn't care, she was suddenly bothered by it again. That was really the only weakness of that particular arc, that after it being over and done with and settled, it actually wasn't. But no, once again, Jodie Whittaker is simply fantastic. As I've said before in the past, some of Whittaker's highlights as the Doctor are when she confronts the villains face to face, and the Daleks being some of the best. It is disappointing that she didn't ever meet Davros, but at the same time, I'm okay with that. Just because, you know, I don't really think there's much you could do with Davros at this point. Again, with the tangents, wow. Speaking of, the Daleks are amazing in this episode. My only complaint is that once again, we have the lamest design in the entire series. The Russell T Davies era / Time War bronze Daleks. This is a design that is cool at first glance, at first glimpse, but then as it keeps coming back, it just gets lame. It's not the worst design, it's not the weak design, it's just, you know, my God, I want something new, you know? Like, I understand for narrative reasons, but I think the clone Daleks from Resolution and Revolution of the Daleks would have been fantastic here, because I really like that design. That design has really grown on me since those episodes. They're fantastic. Or better yet, back during Flux with Once Upon a Time, when we first meet Belle and see her fleeing from Daleks, those Daleks were copper. Why couldn't we have those? But that's a really small nitpick. And again, I like the portrayal of the Daleks here. You know, Chibnall doesn't just show them as brutes. He doesn't just show them as tanks. He shows them thinking, calculating. You know, they're plotting. Every time the time loop resets, the Daleks... Wow, I am so sorry I just blanked on that. I said because I have a ring light now, I can better film at night, but obviously my mind is not with me at night. Anyway, as I was saying, I like how Chibnall portrays the Daleks. I like how he depicts them. You know, they're not just miniature tanks barreling through any obstacle. They stop, they think, they calculate. You know, every time the time loop resets and the Doctor comes up with a new plan, the Daleks come up with a way to counter her plan, which means that when the time loop resets again, the Doctor has to come up with a way to counter their counter. It's a really good cat and mouse sort of story here. And, you know, showing the Daleks as intelligent as they are really adds to the menace of this episode, especially because most of the episode, they win. Like, they say at one point, they've won. They killed the Doctor. Now, they're just kind of trying to make sure the Doctor stays dead when the time loop resets. Side characters. Okay, one of the highlights of this story is that because it's a contained environment, we only have two side characters. We have Nick and Sarah. Nick is okay. I don't really have any problems with him. He just didn't do much for me. Sarah is amazing. She was so much fun. She was a highlight of this episode. In fact, I kind of made this observation when I watched it. Sarah kind of reminds me of a cynical companion, you know, like Romana or Turlo. Those are the two I always think of. Or Liv, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Liv. But, you know, because with cynical companions, when you do them right, which is why I'm not a fan of Liv, because I don't feel Liv has been done right. But when you do a cynical companion right, they're funny, you know, there's a charm to them that makes the cynicism work, and Sarah accomplishes that, even though she's not a companion. And I really like her chemistry with Nick, and I like her exasperation at the situation, and I like her interaction with the Doctor and company. And that kind of brings me to the companions. Dan is okay. I do feel that, after his really strong introduction in Flux, he kind of petered out as the episodes went on. Here he's recovered a little bit. Like, with everything going on, he's kind of the voice of reason. You have the Doctor, who's really exasperated and flustered, and you have Yaz, who has her own stuff going on that I'll try to talk about when I get to her. And then you have Dan, who's kind of who really is the reasonable one here, like when he realizes in one time loop that the Daleks have them cornered, he volunteers to distract the Dalek in an absolutely hilarious scene. Or, he's the one who realizes what's going on with the Doctor and Yaz, and he's trying to nudge them in the direction of talking about it. John Bishop, once again, is fantastic and charismatic, but here now, Dan has material that's starting to help him recover from how he stagnated and kind of petered out in the back half of Flux. Yaz... Okay, so I even though I put a blanket spoiler warning in place, because I do these unscripted and talk about spoilers, I always still do try to avoid them, so that if you have not seen what I'm talking about, you can still go in with enough to be surprised. But this is an instance where I don't think I can hold back. I do have to get into spoilers. It is kind of revealed, very well done visually. Like, it's not stated, it's never said, it's all done with visuals, and it's really well done, that Yaz has feelings for the Doctor. We don't know when it happened. Well, we might know when it happened. We kind of have no idea how it started, but they've been developing. And, she doesn't really know what to do or what to say because the Doctor is still keeping Yaz out, for her own protection, because the Doctor is still trying to figure things out herself. And that's what I meant. Dan, in one scene, right after they have this little heated exchange where, the Doctor runs off after ordering Yaz to stay with the TARDIS, Dan looks at Yaz and goes, "Have you told her yet?" Like I said, it's really well done visually. And the fact that it doesn't need to be conveyed through dialogue is really well handled. And something clicked with me. Suddenly, from the last two series, last three series, Series 11, Series 12, and Flux, it's all kind of clicked with me. Mandip Gill has been playing it very subtly. Like, I always felt like Yaz was kind of the weak link when it wasn't Ryan, or she didn't get a lot to do. But now it kind of all makes sense. Everything is put into perspective. She's been playing it very subtle. Arguably a little too subtle, but that's neither here nor there. And I also like that, it's possibly hinted at that by the end of the episode, the Doctor may know what's going on with Yaz. And, and again, the Doctor is shutting her out. So, which I'm fine with. I've never been a big fan of Doctor companion romance, and the fact that the Doctor is married to River Song only further complicates matters, because as this sort of thing has been going on in the fandom about Thasmin, the ship name for the 13th Doctor and Yaz, that's always been my major issue. The Doctor is already married, and given the Doctor's and River's unique relationship with time, you can never exactly say that the Doctor has been widowed. But that's neither here nor there. This revelation finally puts Mandip Gill's performances into perspective about how subtle she's been playing it, and it's been done really good here. Also, even though I've been taking pot shots at it through all my reviews of Flux, a companion who pines for the Doctor, and the Doctor who is either oblivious and just doesn't know, or realizes and doesn't want this because they know how troublesome it is and the danger it could lead to. Once again, that we can add that to the list. Doctor companion romance is another thing Chris Chibnall does better than Russell T Davies. just because I'm sorry, I see so much hate for the Chibnall era on Twitter, and a lot of it seems to accuse Chibnall of retreading the Davies era. And if you haven't seen my last videos, I hate the Davies era. So if he is, he's doing it better than Russell T Davies. I'm sorry, I had to get that off my chest. The mechanics of the time loop itself are really interesting as well. I just want to get on that too. Like, I think the time loop starts at 10 minutes to midnight. It's been a few days since I finished the episode, so forgive me if I get something wrong. And every time the Daleks kill the main characters and the loop resets, it resets 1 minute closer to midnight. So the first loop started at 11:51. Everyone was exterminated. The next loop starts at 11:52. And then they're exterminated again, and it starts at 11:53. That is a brilliant way to build up tension as the story goes on, because, now there's this sense of, oh, we can't do this infinitely. Like, everyone understands somehow that the time loop will stop at midnight. Come to think of it, that's never explained. Oh well. So they realize that, the team realizes they need to figure out what's going on before midnight. They need to stop the time loop before midnight hits. They need to survive to midnight. Wow, I just spent 30 seconds saying the same thing 3 times. And that's a great way of building up tension, because even though they're in a time loop, they're still running out of time. And there was even a really interesting idea where, Sarah mentions that Nick always died at 11:55. And unless they save him when the next loop starts at 11:56, he will be permanently dead. That's another great way to add stakes to this story. Of course, they save Nick in the next episode, in the next time loop. So, short-lived. But, by establishing and setting the rules so clearly, it's just fantastic tension. Let me check my notes before I get to conclusions. Time loop. Okay, Daleks seeing revenge. Okay, so that is something I was going to get to as well. I love the humor in this story. After starting off kind of cringy, especially with Ryan, the Chibnall era really evolved its use of humor. It was integrated really well in the episodes. Nothing felt out of place. Nothing felt forced. It was all very natural. And this was kind of the culmination of it. The humor in this episode is fantastic. I mentioned earlier the scene of Dan distracting the Dalek. Like, he acts like he mistakes the Dalek for an employee at this storage unit, which is really well done. But one of my favorite moments is when the Doctor goes off after Nick, after he was cornered by 2 Daleks and saved himself by ducking, so the Daleks shot each other. The Doctor runs into Nick, and she asks what happened, and Nick gives this little BS spiel about, being smarter than them, using tactics, being maneuverable. He just gives this little speech, and the Doctor's just like, "Did you duck?" I'm sorry, thinking about it again, it's just hilarious. There really isn't a bad thing to say about Eve of the Daleks. Unless you think that age-old trope of villains in sci-fi stories missing, which has been a thing since probably the conception of sci-fi is a problem. I don't. Eve of the Daleks is simply fantastic. It's fun, it's very well paced, it's tense, it's full of phenomenal performances, especially from Jodie Whittaker and Mandip Gill. Like, I view this episode very highly. Can You Hear Me is still my favorite Jodie Whittaker episode, but this might have easily made my top 3. And I'm going to give Eve of the Daleks a perfect 10 out of 10. But those are just my thoughts on Eve of the Daleks, as rambly and all over the place and incoherent as they were. Have you seen it yet? What are yours? Please start a conversation in the comments below. And remember to like, comment, subscribe, Click the bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload, and share my video around. All of it helps my channel grow, and in the description box below, you will see the link to my Twitter, where you can follow me and get updates on the channel. I will see you guys at the end of the month when I release my review for the new Countermeasure Series 1. We're finally continuing that series. And then I will see you in a few months for the Easter special, Legend of the Sea Devils. This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and I'll see you guys next time.